Are you ready for this? I'm going to do something that you might not be ready for. I'm going to open this door and we're going to see what's on the other side. Now, you might be wondering what's on the other side. Maybe I am too, because you never know sometimes what's on the other side of a door. It might be something frightening. It might be something very scary. It might be something that is dangerous on the other side of that door. But I'm going to open it. You ready? Of course that's not scary. That's my front yard. How could that be scary, right? It's not frightening, it's not dangerous, it's not scary. But here's the thing. I know that some people are afraid of what's inside the other door. You know, sometimes you open up a door and it might be extremely frightening weather, or maybe you're in a real bad section of town, or maybe just your neighborhood is not the kind of neighborhood where you always know what's going to be on the other side of that door. I'm lucky because I know and I'm in a safe place. But not everybody is in that safe place. And sometimes those things that are on the other side can really cause some fear. So I was thinking about this when I was thinking about a story that's found in the book of Joshua. It's actually the story of Joshua, interestingly enough. And maybe you don't know that story of Joshua all that well, but it really goes back to the story of the Hebrews when they were enslaved in Egypt. Now, do you remember that story? The Hebrews had been enslaved and they cried out for help, and God sent them Moses. And Moses, it turns out, was a great and amazing leader. I mean, he came in and he confronted the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh finally relented and they were able to leave Egypt. And when the Pharaoh chased after them and they got to the Red Sea, Moses led them through that Red Sea. At times where they were afraid that they were going to starve to death, through Moses' leadership and through the way in which he helped God work through him and the people of Israel, they were fed. Every time they faced a danger, Moses was there with the strength of God to lead them through the scary, dangerous places. But at the beginning of the book of Joshua, Moses isn't going to be there anymore. And Joshua is going to have to take his place. Let's listen to how that story goes. Book of Joshua, chapter 1. God is talking to Joshua and inviting him to take on the job of leading where Moses once led. He says this, "My servant Moses is dead. Now proceed to cross the Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving them, to the Israelites. Every place that your sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I promised Moses. From the wilderness and the Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, to the great sea in the west shall be your territory. No one shall be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not fail you or forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall put this people in the possession of the land that I swore to their ancestors to give them. Only be strong and very courageous." You know, those are great, encouraging words for Joshua to hear, I know. They are great and they're encouraging words, but here's the thing. He's got to do it, right? I mean, God is saying, look, every place that your soul treads, that's going to be yours. All this land will be yours. This is what I promised Moses, and now you are going to take these people. You're going to lead these people. And God's given him such great promises, but the bottom line is Joshua's got to be able to do it. And it's going to take, as God tells him, strength and courage in order to do this. You see, the fact is, where they're going, there's already people there. And the people, some of the spies have said, are strong and mighty. How are we ever going to do this, Joshua? Joshua has got to be strong and courageous in the midst of a situation where he has to take over leadership from someone who had led so well. You know, oftentimes, I think God calls us to some difficult tasks. There's times where God challenges us with things that maybe we're afraid to take on. Times where we really feel like, you know what, we're over our heads with what God is asking us to do. There's no doubt that Joshua would have felt over his head more than once in what God was asking him to do. But in order for the people to move forward into the land, he has got to take this challenge on with the promises that he will do well. Now, for us in this church, we are in the midst of this stewardship campaign where we're trying to extend our budget so that we can include a larger staff to do the ministry that we truly believe that God is calling us to do. And when we look at that, it feels incredibly challenging. And in order for us to do what we need to do, we're going to have to be strong, and we're going to have to be courageous, and we're going to have to go on the promises of God and the vision that God has given us. But it's going to be scary at times. And we've got to lean on those promises of God no matter what. And you know, maybe in your own personal life, it's not just about the church. Maybe in your own personal life, you're finding yourself facing some of those things as well. You really believe that God is calling you forward. You really believe God is calling you to this relationship. You really believe God is calling you to this challenge. But you're not fully sure what's on the other side of that door. And the only thing you have to lean on at those times are the promises that God gives us. Am I going to be able to do what God's calling me to do? I love the line in that scripture that says, "As I was with Moses, so I will be with you." Because you know, the thing is, Joshua had witnessed how God was with Moses. And now God's telling him, that's what I'm going to do for you. Have you ever seen God do great things through anyone else? As God was with them, so too God is with you. Be strong. Be courageous.